Florida Live starts now.
Well, good afternoon to you. Welcome into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon live on Fox Local, YouTube, and on Fox 35 TV. We've been live streaming for the last 3 hours. If you've been with us on Fox Local, and if you're just now joining us here on the TV side, we appreciate it. We've got a lot to get to over this next hour, and we start with a big story that is getting nationwide attention because there are still so many questions surrounding the death of a Titusville teenager aboard a cruise ship that had just left Port Miami. We're talking about Anna Kepner. She was an 18-year-old. She died November 7th, according to the records from the medical examiner. And we still don't know at this point what the cause of death was. That has not yet been released. And so still a lot of questions and still a lot of questions for family as well, trying to figure out what exactly happened here. Fox 35's Esther Bower spoke earlier with Jamie Barnett. She is with the International Cruise Victims Organization. She actually lost her daughter, Ashley Barnett, who died on a cruise ship back in 2006. And she spoke with Esther today about how the legal system changes, jurisdictions change when you're on board a cruise ship. Talked about her journey, not only on that cruise ship and what happened, but also the journey looking for answers in the aftermath of what happened to her daughter and the message that she hopes that she can share with the family members and loved ones of Anna Kepner, who are now asking many of those same questions.
This one really resonated with me, because she was so young and so beautiful, with so much ahead of her to look forward to. So, there was no reason to think, that anything intentional would have happened to her. And indeed, we still don't. So, but we don't know what did, and that's what makes it so tragic. And the other thing that I think of when I think of this family in particular, probably because I identify with it so closely, is I know what hurdles this family is going to have to jump through. And, I wish I had contact with them. I wish, there was some way I could, accompany them on this journey, because I sure would have loved that when I was in their shoes, because nobody realizes the difference that a victim or the victim's families of someone who is the victim of a crime or unusual or suspicious circumstances at sea goes through, as versus what someone on land would have to deal with. It's a world of difference, and people don't realize it,
Yeah, so talk with us about that. What are the hurdles, this family, you quite frankly are still facing when you pass away or are a victim of a crime on a cruise ship? How does it make it harder, for answers to come out, for justice to be served, for closure for the families?
Well, there are a million different ways that it's complicated and reasons that it's complicated. To begin with, when if you buy your ticket for a cruise as an American in America, you go to a port in America and you get on that ship there, you travel, you come back to an American port. You think, rightfully so, that as an American, the laws that protect you, that keep you safe, that influence that cruise ship are going with you when you go on that cruise, but they don't. And that's because of two reasons. One is that ship is flagged in a foreign country. It's not flagged in it's not an American registered vessel. It'll be a vessel, probably Carnival, most likely registered in Panama. So those are the laws they go by. There's no independent police on a cruise ship that's going to investigate thoroughly and as a well-trained group of dedicated police to seeing that your best interests are met and that this crime is solved. You've got people that are employed by the cruise line that are heading up this investigation. So doesn't that seem like a conflict of interest to you right there? They're going to do their best to keep this quiet and to make it go away, because bad publicity is the worst thing a cruise line can encounter. It's not a lawsuit, it's not a million other things, but bad PR hurts them. And to think, just look at what the Amy Bradley Netflix special has done, raised awareness like nothing else we've ever seen in these 20 years, as hard as we've worked. That show alerted so many people to, oh my God, things like that really happen to people. And they do. That's the thing, for some people, even watching that show, they're like, oh, but that would never happen to me. That happens to other people, but not me. But you know what? It happens to a lot of other people, not necessarily exactly what happened to Amy or exactly what happened to Anna or Ashley, but there are so many different scenarios. We've got story after story after story that's just tragic.
And as I understand with, Ashley's story, which is similar to Anna's story with the FBI being involved, FBI, quote, taking the lead in this investigation. The FBI doing that, which I believe is common practice in these cruise ship investigations, that doesn't really give you any kind of, okay, we have the best investigators in our country taking this over. We're going to get answers, because you still don't have answers. And the FBI was leading the investigation for your daughter, too.
That almost makes me want to cry, because that's exactly what I thought. It's exactly what I thought. And it wasn't true, at all. Every time I would talk to the FBI, the standard comment was, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Barnett, we can't comment on that. That would jeopardize the integrity of the investigation. So I had to go to Mexico 4 times to get the answers that I was hoping for and, just could conceivably get, whether they were, made me feel better or worse. I needed those answers. And I have to say, then that was, what do I know about Mexico? I don't speak Spanish. I had wonderful friends who took me, and, but the experience I had there was entirely different. They did everything they could to give me all the information they had, because that's another thing. When cruise ships go to a port, into a port where a crime, with their, having been a crime committed on their ship, they have to announce it to the port that a crime scene is entering their port. And then they have the right to get on and investigate. And that's what happened with Ashley. And so, and her body was taken off the ship and left in Mexico. And I will say, without anyone from the cruise line or that were with her on the cruise, nobody stayed with her in Mexico. And that was another devastating thing. But this one really resonates. It's just tragic. Her comment was, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Barnett, we can't comment on that. That would jeopardize the integrity of the investigation. So I had to go to Mexico 4 times to get the answers that I was hoping for and, just could conceivably get, whether they were, made me feel better or worse. I needed those answers. And I have to say, then that was, what do I know about Mexico? I don't speak Spanish. I had wonderful friends who took me, and but the experience I had there was entirely different. They did everything they could to give me all the information they had, because that's another thing. When cruise ships go to a port, into a port where a crime, with their, having been a crime committed on their ship, They have to announce it to the port that a crime scene is entering their port. And then they have the right to get on and investigate. And that's what happened with Ashley. And so, and her body was taken off the ship and left in Mexico. And I will say, without anyone from the cruise line or that were with her on the cruise, nobody stayed with her in Mexico. And that was another devastating thing. Something else people don't think about, is what happens if, and that's horrific. And that's something I've been trying to fight in Congress as well, is that if a person should die on board a cruise ship, they have morgues, because people do die on a cruise, that they be allowed to remain on the ship until they come back to the United States, because that's a huge hurdle there to jump once they've been, autopsied or handled in any way by a foreign country. The coroner in the U.S. doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So it's brutal, and I can't understand why there should be any disagreement with anybody anywhere as to whether or not that body should be allowed to come back home. The modus operandi of the cruise industry lately is to, say, oh, we're cooperating with the FBI. Well, the FBI isn't going to let you know a thing. So it's almost like the cruise line is saying, yeah, we're not going to either, so that this story will just go away. Because you know how the news cycle is. 1 minute a story has got everybody's attention, and the next minute they move on to a different one. How lucky for the
Jamie Barnett, whose daughter died on a cruise ship back in 2006, talking about her experience and providing some perspective as well, as we still have a lot of questions about what happened to Anna Kepner. And I do want to apologize for the technical issue in the middle of that, pulling up a freeze frame from a previous Zoom recording there. But an important message from Jamie Barnett and trying to share her perspective there. We still have a lot to get to here on Florida Live, so keep it right here on Fox Local, YouTube, and on Fox 35 TV. We will be right back after this with more Florida Live. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon, live on Fox Local, YouTube, and on Fox 35 TV. The Halifax Humane Society in Volusia County has their hands full right now. Just took in 41 dogs after a man turned them in from a suspected hoarding situation. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay joins me live now. I'm outside the Halifax Humane Society. Chris, I know you just had the chance to meet those dogs, check on some of them. How are they doing right now?
Well, they're doing very well. So we were able to see some of them. A lot of them are in surgery or just getting out of surgery, being spayed and neutered. So this was a situation. They were handed over 41 dogs from a man who says he was overwhelmed, all of them in good condition, all of them having the food and water necessary to live a good life. He just wasn't able to take care of them anymore. So they brought them in here at Halifax. They are taking care of them, and hopefully they'll be able to put them up for adoption soon.
Yeah. So what's next for them? Do they require some kind of rehabilitation in some ways?
A few of them do. So I'm told about 4 or 5 of them will be available for adoption tomorrow. The rest of them have to continue through that process, be spayed, neutered. They have to be chipped, get their appropriate vaccinations, and then they'll be able to be put up for adoptions. But when you hear 41 dogs taken, or in this case handed over from a home, you may assume that it's in poor condition, but there weren't any injuries reported. All of them are in pretty good shape. They're just trying to make sure that they tend to things like skin conditions, etc., before they're able to hand them off. So a few of them up for adoption tomorrow, and in the coming weeks, the rest of the 41 could be as well.
And Chris, this is not a situation where someone would be facing charges or anything, correct?
Yeah, they tell us that he did what he should have done. You know, this is a man who had 41 dogs. He had an original couple who continued to have litters that ended up, before he knew it, with 41 animals. Took very good care of them, but after a while, a lot of them are young, a year and a half of age. Wasn't able to take care of them anymore, so he called Animal Services. Animal Services got in contact with Halifax, and they handed them over. And like I said, they're in good shape.
Well, that's certainly good news. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate you joining us live in the field in Volusia County this afternoon.
Thank you.
It's time now for our Florida Live forecast. I want to bring in Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Laurel Blanchard, who joins us here. And Laurel, it is shaping up to be a beautiful weekend.
I feel like this is like the total opposite of what we were seeing this time last weekend. Like, of course, this was like last weekend was the warm up before the cold. Now it's actually like continuing to rise up in temperatures, so a nice little treat.
Yeah, it is nice. It was, this time last week we were bracing for it and getting ready. Now we survived it. We got through it, at least for now. I know there could be more on the way, but right now we're just going to enjoy this warm stretch.
We're enjoying the warm stretch, and it's only going to even get warmer as we take a look at the next couple of days, because high pressure continuing to take hold. And just look at how beautiful it is out there. This is Port Canaveral. Garrett, honestly, I don't even think I need a cruise right now because it's just so nice outside, and we're just going to continue to see that beautiful weather. If you loved the forecast today, guess what? You're going to love the forecast coming up this weekend, because temperatures, they're going to be very pleasant, even through the overnight tonight. Not going to be freezing. It still will be chilly, but very typical for this time of year. Crystal clear skies. So even though it's warm today, we're going to be seeing those crystal clear skies just absolutely cool things down through the overnight tonight, just because of all that heat that we got in the atmosphere today. Totally going to be lost through the rest of the overnight tonight.
The good thing is those lows are the kind of lows that I can go back to opening my windows at night, because we love doing that this time of year, but this past week it was just too cold to do it.
See, I love opening the windows, but I have a dog at home. Whenever I open the windows, it is one of those mornings that she wakes up because she hears something outside. So I guess that's the only downside, but I will take that only downside to opening up the windows.
Right, it is nice. I like having that nice cool air coming in tonight. So nice to see more manageable of those forecast lows tonight.
Yes, for sure. Not completely freezing, just a little bit of that fall chill. And personally, I think I even sleep better with the windows open in this case. So here's your weekend forecast. Absolutely no rain in sight. So if you are doing anything this weekend, the Pride are playing on Sunday. Lots of holiday events starting to get picked up starting this week. I know Disney is having their first full weekend of their Christmas holiday events, and especially down in Tampa, there's also a lot of events happening as well. So this weekend is going to be absolutely beautiful. Temperatures topping off here in Central Florida around 80 degrees with just a couple passing clouds. So basically all weekend long is just going to be absolutely stunning. Temperatures through the overnights, both Saturday and Sunday, dropping into the upper 50s and low 60s.
That is beautiful. That is what we love to see. And I see you are talking about the auroras that we have seen throughout the week. You know what? I never got out and saw them. I missed it the one night, and then the next night I went out and didn't see it.
I was so bummed when I first knew that it was going to happen. I went outside, went into a dark place, even set up my camera and rolled. I couldn't find it. I couldn't get it.
But we've seen some great shots from folks around here who did get to see it, and it's something to see, especially this far south.
Some of these photos are just absolutely amazing, and we might even see this again. We have a smaller chance, but still a chance, as we take a look at the weekend ahead. So kind of digging into a little bit of why this is happening, because I feel like that really hasn't been answered after we've been getting a lot of photos in. This aurora creation, we've been seeing a couple of solar outbursts happening. So with that, it's just natural cycles of the sun, like how we have seasons. The sun kind of goes into a hyperactivity and then like a lower activity, and we're kind of seeing the peak of that hyperactivity of the sun as these solar outbursts kind of travel across the atmosphere. And with that, it interacts with the magnetic field of the Earth, and that's why we have those beautiful colors that what we've been seeing by a lot of our viewers over the past couple of days. So it's all about the little collisions that happen. So these charged particles from the sun interact with the gas in our Earth's atmosphere, and that's what creates those beautiful colors that we have. So when the magnetic forces impact with the oxygen, it kind of creates those red and green colors, and then when it interacts with nitrogen, we have that blue and purple color, which is what we've mainly been seeing here in Central Florida from a lot of our viewer photos that we've been seeing. But absolutely amazing photos that we've been seeing. So the past couple of days, we've been seeing these G4 solar magnetic storms that we've been seeing across the region. So you can see right there, we've been on that G4, almost teetering on the G5 scale. We may see another G3 storm pop up this weekend, which could lead to another round of the possibility of seeing the aurora borealis, which is pretty cool. But with that, it could cause a couple of problems. And if you have noticed, the radio over the past couple of nights has been a little bit spotty, and that is having to do with the aurora forecast of what we have been seeing. I don't know if a couple of folks, especially who are on Verizon yesterday, the solar not flares, but the outbursts, they actually created a couple spots in cell phone reception the other day. So one of the kind of like positives and negatives. Positives, we see an absolutely beautiful phenomenon. Kind of on the negative, we don't necessarily see, full reliability on GPS, cell phone. Like, it's a little crazy. It
is kind of crazy, and we had the new Glenn launch yesterday that was originally supposed to happen on Wednesday, and they pushed it because of all that solar activity and the geomagnetic concerns over the interference with all that equipment on board a spaceship. So kind of crazy.
This is totally normal for the sun. It kind of goes into these little phases and these little peaks of activity, which does create the possibility of seeing the aurora borealis, like what we've seen in the past couple of nights. So it's probably not going to be seen this weekend. It's going to be a little bit of a weaker outburst. So probably not going to be seeing it this far south in Florida, but there is still a chance, especially because we have crystal clear skies coming up this weekend.
Good to know. Before we let you go, let's look ahead to Thanksgiving. I know we're still a little ways out, but any idea how things are going to be looking for that?
So if anyone has been listening to any weather across the country, California is going to be seeing a lot of rain over the next couple of days, which means it's going to be very wet, very soggy there. But then also it kind of is this seesaw effect. So the bad weather on the West Coast kind of impacts more warm and nice weather here on the East Coast, and especially the Southeast Coast. That may lead to a warmer Thanksgiving as well as a drier Thanksgiving. So honestly, Might be even having to have Thanksgiving outside, maybe a possibility, because we might be in a warm stretch from basically now until Thanksgiving.
Well, no complaints here. I mean, that's awesome. And we know a lot of folks will be coming in town for the Thanksgiving holiday, so I'm sure they will be more than happy to hear that.
Yeah, so a little bit too early to pin down yet, but that's what models are trying to suggest. Taking a look about a week and a half away. Whoa, That's crazy. November's flown by.
It has flown by. It has flown by. Well, Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Laurel Blanchard, we appreciate you joining us here for our Florida Live forecast.
Thanks, Garrett.
And we're going to take a quick break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer. Good to see you on this Friday afternoon, live on Fox Local, YouTube, and on Fox 35 TV. It is time now for our Tampa Connection, where we take a look at some of the big stories in the Bay Area. And joining us live now from the Fox 13 Tampa Bay newsroom is senior content producer Nancy Gay. And Nancy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Garrett. Well, just a little while ago, a jury returned a guilty verdict in a case of a man who was accused of killing his adoptive parents in Northport back in 2023. Now, cameras captured 24-year-old Dima Tower confessing that he planned the attack in August of 2023, killing his father, Robbie, as he slept. He then chased his mother, Jennifer, when she ran to a neighbor's house for help. Tower said he forced her to return home, made her sit on the couch, and told her what he had done to his father before stabbing her multiple times. Now, prosecutors say Tower's testimony confirms premeditation, a key element in their case for first-degree murder. Investigators testified that Tower's DNA was found on one knife and his father's blood on another. Police say Tower tried to clean up the scene before loading his car and taking off. Officers found him covered in blood and led a chase down I-75 before he ran into the woods. He was arrested the next day at a gas gas station. Now, Tower's defense attorney asked jurors to consider a manslaughter conviction, arguing that Tower was temporarily insane and emotionally scarred after being abandoned as a child in Ukraine before his adoption in 2015. Now, as I mentioned, a jury did return a guilty verdict. Tower was found guilty of murder as well as fleeing to elude. And since he was convicted of murder, he does face a sentence of life in prison. Garrett?
Our second story here in the Tampa Connection, and this is a big update on a case that we have been following for a while, and we know in the Tampa area, but also in our area as well.
Yes, the medical examiner revealed an official cause of death for Giovanni Pelletier. As you might remember, he was a teenager from North Carolina who was reported missing back in August and then was found dead in a Manatee County retention pond. Now, Pelletier was reported missing after he got out of a vehicle on I-75 near Manatee County while he was traveling with his cousins to visit family across the state over in Brevard County. He was found dead, as I mentioned, in a Manatee County retention pond several days later, and his cause of death has officially been listed as drowning, with the manner of death classified as accidental. Now, according to the 12th Medical Examiner's Office, a forensic anthropological examination found no evidence of trauma or injury, and toxicology testing of liver tissue showed a small amount of ethanol, which is consistent with decomposition. Now, the medical examiner reported that video evidence of Pelletier was active and alone in the area where he was found, and that supports the idea that no other person caused his death. Now, before Pelletier disappeared, his mother said he had texted her the word help. According to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, Pelletier's cousin said not long into their drive, the boys smoked weed in the car and Pelletier started, quote unquote, tripping. Investigators said that they stopped the car along River Road before they got to I-75 because Pelletier said he needed to use the restroom. Now, the cousin told detectives Pelletier was acting out and started raging before getting back into the car. Another person in that car told investigators that while Pelletier was tripping, he said that he was a demon and that he was going to wreck the car. Now, the sheriff said the people who were in that car told detectives that Pelletier also said he was going to kill them, and he opened the car door while the car was still moving on I-75 near State Road 70. And the sheriff said that Pelletier was also known to carry knives. According to the sheriff's office, the driver pulled the vehicle over, and they said Pelletier got out of the car and started running in the southbound lanes of I-75. Then he ran into the northbound lanes and almost got hit by a truck. The sheriff said Pelletier left his backpack and cell phone behind, and the people in the car took those items and placed them on the side of State Road 70. And then those cousins kept driving over to Brevard County. As I mentioned, Pelletier, he was reported missing, and his body was found a few days later in a Manatee County retention pond, and his family did call for federal investigators to take over, claiming that local law enforcement failed to treat the case with urgency. Again, the medical examiner said today that officially his cause of death, Pelletier, was accidental and his cause of death was drowning. Garrett?
Well, we certainly hope that is able to provide some more answers and closure in some ways for his family. We know there were a lot of questions, an odd situation to begin with, and you certainly can't blame them for having those questions and wanting to know more about what happened. There were searches that essentially spanned the state from Manatee County to Brevard County, so just a lot of questions in those kind of early days. And the investigators releasing that video, I think, was striking to see when they did that answered some of those questions, but certainly more answers today in a case that we know captured a lot of attention here in our area.
Yes, this case definitely captured a lot of attention. As you mentioned, it spanned the state because while those boys were driving up I-75 over here in the Bay Area, they were traveling over to Brevard County. So there were questions of whether or not he really did get out of the car, what was he doing? And you did mention that surveillance video that showed him running alone toward that retention pond. So today, hopefully, this answers a lot of those questions that people had with the medical examiner, saying that the official cause of death is drowning and that it was accidental.
Still a tragedy nonetheless. Finally, our last story here in the Tampa connection, and ending on a bit of a happy note here, Nancy. What do you have for us?
Yeah, it's definitely a Florida couple has been named the world's oldest married couple by the Guinness Book of World Records. Eleanor and Lyle Gittins were married in 1942, and they lived for a while in Eleanor's hometown of Bradenton, and then they moved up to New York, and now they currently reside down in South Florida. That's down in Miami. Now, despite their differences, the couple says that they managed to stay together. They live independently in a high-rise just down the hall from their daughter. Their marriage created a legacy, including 3 children, 3 grandchildren, as well as 5 great-grandchildren. Now, the couple said this is real, and it is what a long-lasting marriage looks like. They did say that their secret to a long-lasting marriage is, of course, love, but it also includes having a martini every night. Now, they do hold 3 world records, but to be named the world's longest married couple, they need to stay married for nearly 89 years, and I do believe that record was set by a couple up north in Canada. Garrett?
I love that recipe for success. Obviously, you got to have love, but a little martini every night certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, no, martini every night doesn't hurt at all, and they did say that that was their second secret to a long-lasting marriage.
All right, Fox 13 senior content producer Nancy Gay, we appreciate you joining us with our Tampa connection today.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. The sun is shining, the skies are blue. They call this a Chamber of Commerce weather for a reason. And here is a live look right now along International Drive in the tourist district. And no doubt the Chamber of Commerce and all of the tourists and everyone else here enjoying the weather out there today. Here is, again, a look at iDrive. We know the Orange County Convention Center next week going to be hosting IAAPA, the IAAPA Expo 2025, that trade show beginning next week at the Convention Center. It's for the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. That's a nonprofit trade association. They represent 6,000 members from 100+ countries. We know how big of an industry that is here in Orlando, and that trade show, that expo, brings a lot of folks from all over the world. across the country as well, and also generates a lot of excitement because of all the cool things, frankly, that you can see there. Earlier today, I spoke with Jakob Wall. He is the CEO of IAAPA, and we talked about what folks can expect at next week's expo and what he's most looking forward to.
Well, this is actually the most exciting week for all of us here in the attractions industry globally. It's like Christmas and birthday coming together because we will have 40,000 industry professionals coming from all across the world to learn about the most recent trends in the attractions industry. So we are very much looking forward to next week.
There is always so much going on at IAAPA. What can folks expect at this year's trade show?
We have more than 1,100 exhibitors, and that can be the big roller coaster building company, water slides, inflatables, food and beverage, everything you can imagine, which is there to entertain people. They will exhibit to showcase what is happening in the industry. But beyond those products, we have inspiring presentations, networking opportunities. We will also have some fun with each other because this is what it's all about, having fun.
Yeah. What's new this year? Anything that stands out that people should be aware of?
We have dedicated areas for Halloween. We call it the haunting grounds, where there are vendors which are really highlighting everything which you need for a good Halloween event. We also have, the street market, where we have food and beverage vendors. We have a live chef to showcase what's going on, what are the newest trends in the food and beverage industry, in attractions around the world. And then also we want to deliver fun for our members. So we have one evening at Epic Universe, and on Tuesday evening, we will have a big drone show with fireworks for our attendees. So, we want to offer something also for our attendees.
You talk about the dedicated kind of Halloween stuff. That is something that we have really kind of seen take off. And a lot of it seems like appetite for Halloween events at these theme parks and other attractions.
Yes, it is. It is actually one of the big trends. For many parks and attractions, October became the most important month because everybody is so excited about Halloween. When you look at a Universal, Halloween Horror Nights has become so popular that in Las Vegas and Chicago, they're building year-round attractions for Halloween. And we see that as a trend also within our expo. So this is why we have that dedicated space this year.
Right. Can you just talk about why this event is so important to folks in the industry?
IAAPA Expo is actually not just a trade show. It's more like a class reunion and gathering from attractions industry professionals around the world. And what makes it very special is that our industry really is very social. So in the spirit of, rising tides lift all boats, everybody comes together. If it's an FEC from Milwaukee, if it's an operator from Indonesia, if it's a new park project from Saudi Arabia, they all come together to learn from each other, to inspire each other, and to really try to think about how can we do it to entertain our guests even more. And I think that is a wonderful spirit where people are just excited to see each other, to see what's new, what are the new trends, and then to walk home and say, hey, listen, that is what we can do even more to entertain our guests.
I think it's cool to hear you say, a rising tide lifts all boats, because we know there is a stiff competition in the attractions industry. But at the same time, if there are things that are going well for somebody, then that's good for the industry as a whole. Yeah. Talk about that.
Totally. That is the spirit. If you have a good experience in an amusement park, you're more likely to visit other amusement parks. And this is where we really try to create that platform where people can learn about trends, what has worked for others, and also what has not worked for others. And I think that is where we as an association are very grateful to have this platform of the trade show, where people are really sharing openly about their learnings. We have several sessions, obviously, on the big news of this year, Epic Universe, where we talk about the process on how that was created in a creative process and in operations, but also besides that, many sessions on all aspects on how you run an attraction. And that is what is really, really special about next week's happening here at the Orlando Conventions.
You talk about Epic Universe, and there's been so much excitement surrounding that from even before it opened, just leading up to that. We've seen the impact here in our area that its opening has had. What impact or what lessons do you think can others can learn from the opening of Epic Universe?
I think Orlando is the theme park capital of the world, and there's nowhere in the world where theme parks are having and amusement attractions have such an impact as in Orlando. And wherever I go in the world, you always hear from cities, we want to be the next Orlando, because they see Orlando as this #1 family destination for attractions. But the thing is, like with everything happening here, and we talked about Universal, about Epic Universe, we talk about SeaWorld, what they have added with their new attraction, their new flying theater this year. We talk about, the Disney editions, but also what happens at Gatorland, what happens at the Orlando Science Center. There's so much going on because ultimately we all benefit from that. When Epic brings in those guests also want to see the other attractions. They also want to go for dinner. They also want to stay in hotels. So it's really such an economic boost for Orlando and Central Florida. And that is why we are very grateful that IAAPA has a home here and IAAPA Expo has also its home here in Orlando.
We know there have been some, tough economic times for a lot of folks around the country. What is the outlook for the attractions industry at this time?
The attractions industry actually shows remarkable resistance and growth. And this is probably easy because, even if it's harder, even if it's economic harder, we want to be distracted. We want to have fun. We want to go out with friends, with family, with colleagues, and forget about those daily concerns which bother us. And this is where our members can actually provide those moments where we just forget about everything else and enjoy the moment and see the emotions of others, see how they are afraid of this big roller coaster, how they're enjoying the scares at Halloween, how they are really going down the water slide. And that is what makes our industry very special. And that is what continues to drive our industry. And we talked about the big parks. When you look at other investments, Icon Park continues to grow. There will be a new Ripley's Mini Golf opening there soon. Everything is always happening here and everything is always moving forward. And that is great for the industry, but it's also great for Orlando and the economy.
Yeah, it's great because we know when one park makes an improvement, that's likely going to start a chain reaction. Yes. And so for those of us around here who love to go to the theme parks, that's great to see.
It's very good news. We actually enjoy the competition between the theme parks because it does good to all of us.
All right, Jakob, we appreciate you joining us. Last thing before I let you go is what are you most looking forward to with the expo next week?
Actually meeting the people. It's a wonderful industry. We are surrounded by wonderful people from all across the world, and having 40,000 people coming from all around the world and just thinking about how can we deliver more fun experiences to the world. I mean, I can't imagine a nicer job than this.
Jakob Wall, IAAPA CEO, joining me earlier today on Fox 35 News Plus. You can learn more about IAAPA and the upcoming expo at iaapa.org. That's iapa.org. You see the homepage here right now where you're looking at the expo page with the seminars and sessions beginning on a Monday, the expo show floor opening up on Tuesday, and running through next week at the Orange County Convention Center. You can find a lot more information about things. You can register, find more about the exhibitors, the vendors, the speakers as well. They have a long list of speakers that kind of span a lot of different aspects and sectors of the industry. So going to be interesting to see what comes out of that. We will certainly have updates for you here on Florida Live throughout next week. We're going to take a quick break right now on Florida Live, but we still have more to come, so keep it here on Fox Local, YouTube, and Fox 35 TV, and we will be right back with more Florida Live after this. Live look right now at the Kia Center, home of the Orlando Magic. You can also see Inter Stadium, the home of the Orlando Pride, and both teams playing at home this weekend and what is a big sports weekend here in Orlando. Let's start by talking about the Orlando Magic. They host the Brooklyn Nets tonight in another NBA Cup game, but they're going to be doing so without star forward Paolo Banchero, who is out with a groin injury. I talked with independent reporter Sean Green today about what this means for the Magic and also a little bit of their improvement over the past week or so.
Listen, it's the positive thing is it doesn't seem like it is too serious. Nothing was really torn. It's just a strain, so they're going to keep monitoring him in the next couple weeks, if not the next couple days. But he will be out tonight against the Nets in an important game, a play-in game, which I know is kind of the new craze in the NBA the last couple of years. So he will not be playing tonight.
Franz is going to be playing, but he's going to be wearing a face mask.
I mean, yes, he is going to be wearing a face mask. He broke his nose in the game on Monday, or a part of the nose. I don't think he's going to have to wear this mask for too long, but he looks killer in the mask. I'll say that. He looks like a baller, and he showed it on Wednesday against the Knicks, putting 28 up and looking good doing it. So if he wants to play like that all the time with the mask on, so be it.
Yeah, we are seeing this Magic team starting to play a little bit better after a bit of a rough start. What do you think is kind of behind this improvement?
You know, I've said it. Like, I've come on this show and said, like, listen, at the end of the day, it's going to take a little bit of time, right? It's not as simple as, oh, you got Desmond Bane, everything's going to work out, right? It does take time. But I think the big thing is, I said I was shocked that the Magic's defense was as bad as it was. I said the offense is going to take some time. Defense, there's no reason why the defense should be this bad. And I think you saw it Wednesday against New York. The defense is starting to look like Orlando Magic defense. I think they finally understood there was probably some frustration of why is the offense not easier, right? This offense should just click, right? But it's not that easy. And I think the players have officially kind of accepted that, and that's now making them focus on the defense and not so much offensive struggles. So I think they're 5-2 in their last 7 games. They still have a long way to go. But I think if you start looking towards the future and how this team's playing right now, if they keep playing like this, then all those things that we were talking about before the season will come to fruition.
How much are they going to miss Paolo tonight? And does that throw things kind of out of whack after we have seen them take some steps forward?
I'll be honest. I wouldn't necessarily listen, they're going to miss. He's one of the best players in the NBA. So you're going to miss Paolo. You are playing, in my opinion, the worst team in the NBA, though, tonight in the Brooklyn Nets. So I think the positive is you didn't really need him tonight. And maybe I'll eat my words later if they go lose tonight. But I think this is a game where it's like, okay, he's not playing tonight. But the stretch coming up, they're playing some tough teams coming up in the next 5 games after this. That's kind of where you're looking at it and saying Paolo would be needed. And he might. They're really going to be monitoring him every day. So there's a chance that it's only a couple games missed here. But I also think this will be really good to really get some experience without a 1 or a 2 player, right? If Paolo gets hurt at some point in this year, if Franz goes down or Desmond Bane goes out, I think these types of reps are important. And it's good that it's coming against a team that at the end of the day, you're far superior than.
So we'll be watching that game tonight at Kia Center. Now let's talk a little Orlando Pride, because they are 1 win away from back-to-back appearances in the NWSL final. Obviously, we know they were the champions last year. They are hosting on Sunday the NWSL semifinal against Gotham FC. We heard earlier today from head coach Seb Hines and midfielder Luana. We had this live on Fox 35 News Plus earlier today as they met with reporters ahead of another big playoff game at Inter Stadium.
Last year was a phenomenal year. This year it's been an up and down, but we're finishing the season on a high. And so, yeah, we want to continue that momentum that we've had in the last couple of games. We've been playing playoff football for a long period of time now with some of the teams that we've played in this last stretch. Yeah, but it's win or go home. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you've got to give absolutely everything, and that's what the players have done all season. It's no different to what we've been challenging all season long against some really good opponents. But yeah, we're prepared, we're ready, we're excited, and it's all to play for.
Yeah, knowing what you know about this group, how badly do they want to defend? What does title defense mean to them? I mean,
it's winning, right? It's not about defending anything. You can't take away what we already won last year. It's about winning again and getting another championship, getting another ring, and that's what we're all aspiring to do.
You know, Marta showed incredible heart and physicality in the last game. Is that kind of representative about what the team is willing to give at this moment in time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's been phenomenal, and even for her to do it so late on in the game and have that desire to get herself in the box and win a penalty and close the game out epitomises what this team is about, and also epitomises what Marta's about as well, to have that sort of energy and desire so late on in the game, even though, you know, she's probably tired, the team's tired, but it was such a relief for everyone to win that penalty, and then to give that ball to Lou, and Lou to have that moment is so inspiring for everyone. And we're just obviously really happy with the outcome. But I think it is the heartbeat of this team. It is who we are as a culture, and we're going to need all those values and principles and everything to go out there and win the game on Sunday.
Seb, you mentioned when I spoke to you before the Seattle game, that the thing about the playoffs is that anything could happen. Are you surprised to see how other results in the playoffs have kind of come to fruition, especially with Gotham knocking out Kansas City, and how do you kind of approach that, knowing that, you know, same thing, anything could happen in this game against Gotham on Sunday? Yeah,
I think there's a reason why the top 8 teams are in playoffs. They've been the most consistent teams all season long. But that goes away once you get into the postseason. It's one game. It's winner takes all, and you have to be at your best. And I think, people probably took it for granted how difficult it was last year for us to win the Shield and to win the championship. And here we are, finishing 4th in the league. But we're able to host 2 home games. Gotham is a very good opponent. They have some really good, talented players, and we'll be tested. And I think that's the fun and the excitement that's around this environment, that we could be potentially going to another championship game.
What did you see from
A lot of excitement for that game coming up on Sunday, 3 o'clock at Inter-Inco Stadium. So that means things going on at all of these big venues that you see in this shot here in downtown Orlando. Kia Center tonight, Inter-Inco Stadium on Sunday afternoon, and looking past there toward Camping World Stadium and Tinker Field. We know Warped Tour going on this weekend. That begins tomorrow, also continues Sunday. Huge lineup celebrating 30 years of music. The first time they've been back here in Orlando in a while. Here's some of the artists that you might see if you're heading out there. A long list there performing at Warped Tour Orlando this weekend, and it is going to be a beautiful weekend for that. So if you're heading out for that, we hope you have a great time and enjoy that. We appreciate you joining us here on Florida Live. Been a busy 4 hours here on Fox Local, and we appreciate you joining us here today. We will be back here on Monday with more live streaming coverage and our 2 o'clock hour here on TV as well. As we wrap up on this Friday, let me give you a live look right now at Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. And how calming does that water look right now, being able to take a look at that. Have a great evening. We'll see you Monday.